Okay. Check. 1, 2. All right. I think we are looking good here, folks. Y'all give me just a second. Let me check over, make sure everything is streaming well. After what happened Sunday, just want to make sure that we're still looking good. All right, I think we're looking good. Well, hey, good evening, everybody. Thank y'all for joining in. Whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or watching this through a shared watch party or what have you, thank you for joining us. I am Dylan. I am the youth pastor, assistant pastor. I'm not exactly sure what my title is here. I wear many hats here at the church. But Pastor Rick is on vacation for this week and has taken some time off. So many of us here at the church are helping to fill in to help him take some time so he can get refreshed and come back and continue to give us the message from the Lord. So we just want to stay encouraging to him that way. A couple of quick announcements on everything. If you are following us strictly online and are not here with us for our main services, so if you are just watching our online streams, on behalf of our tech team, just want to say thank you, first off and foremost. And again, apologies for our stream Sunday. We had some issues where it had cut off more than half of our video. But luckily, we have got some fantastic people working here to help us get things. And I think that we have got that now uploaded in its entirety. So you can go back on our YouTube page or on our website and watch our latest Sunday service where Brother Danny has filled in for that. So again, guys, we try to do everything that we can, but there are just some times where things do happen. Even in the most professional, higher-end venues, they still have some problems every now and then you got to combat. And it just goes to show you that anytime the Spirit's going to be moving in one of our services or something like that, Satan is always going to try to interfere. He is going to try to do everything he can to, cause chaos and confusion and to stop, and really just to stop any good that the Lord is working in people's lives. So any type of distraction or thing like that he can do, he's going to take it. So, that does happen from time to time, but we try our best to have a little bit of contingencies in place so that we can get things back for you guys. As we're still kind of in this uncertainty, trying to wait to see who is going to really, when we're going to be able to open up our church again in its fullest. So again, guys, just bear with us on that. Okay, so tonight, not sure how long we're going to go, but this has been a kind of a message or a thought that's been in my head for a very long time, and I have been taking some absence from doing live Bible streams. There, when COVID first hit, I was doing about 2 a week, and then meeting with the kids online, which we still got some things in the works there. But when we started meeting back physically here in the church, I made the decision to stop my online Bible study so that I could get back refocused on getting our streams and our online services where they needed to be, working with our technical team. So that's what we've been doing. That's what I've been doing throughout a lot of this time. But it's very funny that in the midst of that, I still consider myself, I'm still a teacher. I still like to pass on, my perspective on Bible study, on issues that's going on in our culture, the signs of the times, the things that we're dealing with. So today, we're going to be in Romans chapter 5, verse 8. And if you've noticed on the thumbnail of this video, it's a basketball image of some guys playing basketball. And I really think that that's cool because all this kind of ties together with a basketball theme. And not that this is a message about basketball, but you'll see what I'm talking about as we get involved with our conversation here for our Bible study. But tonight's stream is called One and Done. And that is a term used for college basketball players that spend 1 year in college ball, and then immediately after that year go straight to the professional, the NBA. And of course, that same saying has a lot of things, other uses as well. One and done, doing it one time and being done with it. And as I step back and as I kind of observe and see a lot of what's going on with our culture and how we are as a society, how we are not just as Americans but as people, as we move further and further on into time, that is such a very relevant thing right now. And there's a couple things that we're going to talk about with that. And some of that is going to be the fundamentals of Christianity. And we're going to talk about the echo chamber in which we all live in. And then lastly, we're going to tie things up neatly with picking your battles. So sit back, strap in. This is going to be a good one. Like I said, I don't know how long it's going to go. But we're gonna find out. All right, Romans chapter 5, verse 8. So be flipping there as we get opened up. As a teacher, as a Christian, as someone who enjoys sharing what I come to learn about the Bible, as I get to teach you guys and go over things, and with my wife, and hopefully my son when he gets old enough to understand. And even just friends and people that are around me, as I learn things about the Bible, it's really cool to pass that information on. And in that, we should all be striving to learn and understand as much as we can. Now, for a lot of us, that strictly comes from Sunday morning. And it's easy for us to kind of get into a routine of where we're learning about Bible things, and we're learning all these new concepts about what Jesus taught, what the Apostle Paul taught, what some of the disciples went through, what they taught, and what have you. I think that sometimes, and just like the basketball theme, is we've got to get back to fundamentals of Christianity. And Pastor Rick, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this after the fact, a lot of refreshment and a lot of encouragement that you can kind of get yourself back reset, back recentered and refocused is to get back to the fundamentals. What is it about being a Christian that at its core is important? What are the tasks or the list of things that I should be doing as a follower of Jesus? And have I been doing those things? And just being honest, if I were to reflect on my life and to look at that, a lot of times it's no. I get so caught up in the details of all the little things around being a Christian and what have you. It could be something like, don't struggle with addictions. Don't use this type of language. Don't treat people this certain way. And those are good things that we should surround ourselves with. Those things inherently don't save you. They don't make you a Christian. And a lot of times we get so caught up in following those lists or those descriptions of what we think a Christian should be that we lose our roots. We lose being planted in the work that Jesus has done for us. And we're going to look at that tonight. And that applies so much into the way that we treat the world around us. So Romans chapter 5, verse 8, it says, "For God shows his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." And getting back to fundamentals with that is that in all the wrong and all the bad that we have done, all the sin that we have in our life, Christ is the one that takes that away and makes us new and makes us sanctified so that we can be set apart to do works for him, to further his kingdom. And one way is very easy to remember that is love God, love people. And that helps to take care of a whole lot of that. Someone I talked to at one time said that's the Bible for dummies. Love God, love people. And, a lot of times that love is, how would you want yourself to be loved? How would you want yourself to be treated? And in turn, do that to other people, because that's the love that God's shown to us. Verse 8 says, while we were sinners. And that's going to segue us into, well, how does that affect us and the people that are around us? And this is just my observation. If I'm wrong, if you disagree with me, please comment. I've got to pull up here so you guys can talk to me, so we can, hey, have a conversation. That's my hope. I hope that you guys engage, or throw your opinions in here so that we can bounce things back and forth. Because even though that I am a teacher, and I know some concepts and things to be able to teach you guys, just like Rick says every weekend, you need to go back and look these things up. Make sure that what I'm saying is the truth. Make sure that there is fidelity in what I am telling you. Because if I'm not, then how will I know if you are not able to, correct me as a brother or sister in Christ? And that's how, we should help each other stay as strong as we can in serving the Lord. But that's a whole different thing. But the culture that we live in, and this has been going on for the past several years, and not just myself, but that I have seen in the world around us, and a lot of it has to do with the further engagement in social media, our media outlets, the movies, and I'll tell you too, our political views play a big role into this. With the one and done concept, is that we have, as people, chosen to live a certain life, and if anything is in disagreement or in conflict with that life or that worldview or way of looking at things, then we completely shut everything about it away. And I'm going to give you an example of this from a few years ago, and to see if any of you guys remember, and then you can let me know how you fared on it. A few years ago, the whole male-female bathrooms was a big ordeal. I think there were some movies being filmed in Georgia. I think the final Avengers movies was one of them. And the studio or the people behind making the movie were concerned that if certain laws were passed to decline the mixing of the genders using bathrooms, then they would no longer come and film their movie here. And of course, we, as good Bible-believing Southern Baptist Christians, got all upset with the superheroes, and we were going to boycott them, and we're not going to watch any more Avengers, and we're gonna watch Batman and Superman on DC, and not watch Iron Man and Captain America, and we're done with the Marvel movies. And that's an example of what I'm talking about. They did something that we were in disagreement with, so we're going to back off completely and not be involved with them. And I'm guilty too. Just by a quick poll, how many of us still went or with our family, with our kids, to go see the final movies? This guy did. I went and saw them. I thought they were a pretty neat movie. Aside from all the stuff that went on behind the scenes and what have you with that example. But fast forward now to where we're at with our sporting events and things like that. The NFL a few years ago, the guy that knelt during the national anthem, how much divide and how much one and done did that cause for you watching professional sports, especially football? Well, if they can't stand for the flag, I can't watch their program. I'm not going to support that team anymore. Or I'm boycotting the NFL. No more NFL. They're unpatriotic. But how many of us still kept up with the scores of games, or we watched a few games here or there? And then, especially now with things like the Black Lives Matter movement, and especially with basketball and NASCAR, and I think that they're in some other sports as well, but, we're not going to watch those sports. We're not going to watch things that are in support of that. And that's the echo chamber. That's us surrounding ourselves with just things that are just all about us. And I want you guys to realize, and I want you to think about, the hypocrisy that we have there. And it's not so much that those things are bad and evil and we need to reject them, because there are always, always, always going to be things of the world that we are going to disagree with as followers of Christ. Every time. Whether it's a sporting event, whether it's a movie, it's a concert or a music group or band or something like that that you like, there's going to be something there that is going to be in conflict with your political views. And if you want to go further than that, with your views as a Christian. Always. And so when I got to thinking about that, all the things that I had been a hypocrite myself on, well, I'm not going to watch the superhero movie. I'm not going to watch that sport. I'm not going to buy gas from that gas station, or I'm not going to wear clothes from this place because they have a certain view that I disagree with, even though they may have nice things in there, or they may have something that could benefit me. I would like for us to put that same concept in the eyes of God. What if he were to have that view or that outlook on our lives? Would we be happy, or would we think that it's fair and just for God to have a one and done outlook on us? Now let me remind you of our verse that we went over in Romans chapter 5. It says God shows his love for us in that while we were still sinners, while we were still doing the evil things, the things that were against everything that God is about, unbeknownst to you or not, whether how bad on your list of bad things you place what you were involved in, it doesn't matter. God sees it all the same. That even in all of that, Christ still died for us. Now, this isn't necessarily so much a lesson on forgiveness, and though that's very important, I'm not saying that you have to forgive and excuse all of the things that, these sporting events, these producers and all that stuff. I'm not saying that you have to forgive them, but that's going to tie us into this last point here on picking our battles. Is you giving all of your energy and attention and devotion to not watching a certain sport because they did something that you didn't like or are involved with something that you didn't like? Is the time and energy that you put into discouraging other people or going about not being involved with that sport? So, for example, the energy that you put into telling other people, "Hey, don't watch that. They're unpatriotic," or "Don't watch that. They're for racism," or "Don't get your clothes from this store because they support this," or they're involved with that. Is all of what you put into that, does that exceed that the action and the energy that you put into being pro-Christian, telling people about how good the love of Jesus is, how excellent the grace of God is, that he forgave you of your sins? And that one really stings me a lot, and it hurts me a lot, because a lot of times I will argue till I'm blue in the face on certain issues, or why I'm not involved with something, why this particular movement makes me mad. Well, do they not realize that they're doing the same thing we are, and yada, 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 whatever it may be? Just like Pastor Rick gave a lesson on a Sunday service of distractions in that, and just like I led off with our technology, how our video messed up, the devil is going to do everything in his power to distract you, to get you to stop advancing God's kingdom, whatever shape or form it may be. A person kneeling during the anthem, how much attention did that take off of our Bible study, of our sharing our testimony, the gospel, things like that? We've been so sports deprived here lately in the midst of COVID that we're so anxious to watch our our favorite teams and cheer them on and things like that. But and I'm gonna go there. College football. Okay, it's good, it's great. They're gonna play a couple games. They're gonna allow whatever attendance or something like that. I think from what I looked up or what I've heard people talk about. But in the midst of the whole BLM thing, what are you gonna do if your home team, your favorite team, has that real big on the on the end zones or at the 50-yard line? If you're on the other side of that, are you gonna just let that just completely consume you, and you're gonna talk bad about that team and stop watching and tell everybody why you're in disagreement with that, why they ought not do that? Is that going to get you so fired up and so passionate about that? Whereas I would like to see that same energy, that same passion put into spreading the gospel of Christ. And like I said, there's a big reason why that one stings a lot for me, is because, quite frankly, I have been more political the past year, the past season through COVID and all that. I have let these things distract me. And let me tell you this, no matter what side you think that you're on the right of, if that side isn't the side that is advancing God's kingdom, it's wrong. And unless you can have your viewpoints or something built on the foundation of Jesus, well, let me tell you why that movement I disagree with, because that's in direct conflict to what Jesus teaches here. Or Jesus asks us to treat people this way, or even things like that. Then I could see where you've got a basis to argue your viewpoint. But a lot of times those viewpoints are not based on the Bible. They're based on our misconstrued way of thinking that is right. Well, I'm a good old boy. I don't do too bad or wrong. I'm not a bad person. I've got some good outlooks. I've got some good views. I got a good code that I live by, things that I don't do, and that ought to be good enough to get me by. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's not. And no matter where that may navigate you through your life, to where you think that just strictly adhering by that you're going to be okay to navigate these issues, you're not. That's man's wisdom. Man's wisdom is flawed. Your wisdom is flawed. All the good that you think that you have is nothing in comparison to the greatness and to the grace that God has for us. And this verse, it really does hurt so much, because in the midst of all that, while we're so distracted, while we are still engulfed in our sin, in the problems of the world, in wanting to be like the world and find acceptance and find entertainment and, I guess, relaxation and things like that, and amusement and things of the world, that while we were still choosing all those things, Christ died for us. In the midst of all that, Christ died for us. And, the past few weeks I have really been thinking on that. What if God were to have that same outlook on me? That just at the first sign of something I did that offended God, or something that was displeasing to Him, that He didn't agree with, that He just dropped me and had nothing more to do with me, because I wasn't strictly 100% everything for Him. And that's a hard one to swallow. I thank Him every day that He is able to forgive me of the things that I've done, and gives His grace just so openly and so freely to me. And the good news about that is that He's given it to you too. If you're listening live, if you're going back and watching us, on a different time, God has given that grace to you. And, in the middle of all that, I want you to stop and think and just be honest with yourself that at one point in time, or at any point in time, nothing that you are involved with, a sports team that you like, entertainer that you like to follow, a celebrity, whatever, even the church that you attend. We're all flawed. We're all flesh, as Paul describes it. We all have our internal struggles, and we all have a conflict with sin. We are never going to be in 100% agreement with each other, and then the things that we say. We're all going to have a little bit of variation with us. So we're never going to have one person or one group that we're involved with or one team that we like or anything that has zero conflict or something that we don't like. How many churches do you know, or people that have left churches because a decision was made, or someone said something, or someone did something, and we have that mentality of one and done. Oh, I didn't like that. I'm that church ain't for me. Nope, that was my one strike. So you used to get 3 strikes and you're out. Now it's at the first sign of something that you disagree with or something that you don't like, you're done with it. And for all honesty, having worked with youth, you see that in the students in this next generation that's coming up, because I'm gonna say this very carefully, and please listen to what I say. The Bible is a confrontational book. And I'm not just talking about people disagree with it, they don't want to be Christian or things like that. If you read the Bible, it will convict you. It will show you things in your life that are wrong. It will point out sin, and it will make no quarrels, ifs, ands about it. Thus saith the Lord. He will point out things in your life that he doesn't like. There will be truths in that Bible that are hard for you to take. And with this culture coming up behind us, from the students and from this next generation, there's going to be something in there that they don't like, that they disagree with, so they automatically throw everything out, and they don't want anything to do with it. Whereas when you get through all of it, when you do your Bible study, when you come to know who Jesus is and why there is such a problem with sin and why he cannot allow it, for his grace to come in and to change our lives and for us to be followers of him and to have our lives transformed through him, then it's really through all that you begin to see his ways are not our ways, and that there's going to be things that maybe we don't understand. And in an age where we have our phones where we can Google and get an answer instantly to just about any and everything, when it comes to things of God, there's no Google for that. Sometimes you may not know why things happen the way that they do. You may not know what you're going through or why you went through something until you get to heaven, or until he lets it be known to you way later down the road. See, I think about this sometimes, that there's a lot of waiting in the Bible. And Moses specifically comes to mind about having to wait in the wilderness before his return to Egypt. And, I think a lot of us need to take a moment and to take a time out, or if you were to be biblical about it, we need to take a fast, a time away from things in our life, whether it's, food, fasting from food, from electronics, from entertainment, whatever it may be, time away from those things so that we can have a quiet time and have a set-aside dedication of where we are giving to God. Because just like Pastor Rick said, we're distracted. And with Satan being the author of confusion the way that he is, we have got so many things that we are letting run our lives that just quite frankly, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. All the time and energy you spend arguing about, should men use the women's restroom? Should women use the men's restroom? Or what about a restroom for these people that claim to be something else and all that stuff? 3, 4, 5 years that we are removed from that, does any of that really matter right now? Is any of that number one pressing issue on your mind and on your heart? It's not mine. And I don't know many people that that's still a big thing. But if we're going to be followers of Jesus, if we're going to be Christians, if we're going to proclaim that that's what we're about, we need to be up front, first and foremost, and all in telling this world about Jesus, spreading his message, letting people know what he's done and the change that has happened in our life as a result of that. Because, 50 years from now, 80 years from now, 100 years from now, is a majority of the stuff that you are passionate about and get excited about, or do those things really make a difference? One of the best examples that I like to give on stuff like that is, who won the Super Bowl 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago? And that's just a big go-to game that a lot of people get super excited about and really, really happy. But, do you really remember and retain who won, the players that played, what catches or throws? Those details, do they even matter anymore? And they don't. And that's just a blanket that can be applied to all sports and championships and stuff like that. But in the grander scheme, 50, 80, 100 years down the road, there will be people, there will be souls that are either in heaven or hell by the actions that we take. And that should scare the mess out of us that maybe we are responsible for some of those decisions. And I think that it should be very important that we live a life and strive to where that is of importance to us. And I'll leave you with this, and this is a thought that keeps me up at night sometimes, when I'm bogged down and I feel like I'm being tugged in many different ways by all these distractions and all of these issues and things like that, is, I've known people that are around my age and have lost family members, and, they're dead and gone. And, one question is, how much longer do they have being passed away? Because, after death, besides your destination, that's it. All you get is this little bit that's here on earth. And what are you filling that time with? Are you filling it with things that are one and done? Are you constantly being distracted by the things of this world and moving on from the next thing to the next thing to the next thing? Or are you truly rooted and truly all about preparing for that other side, for when your time comes? Are you prepared to meet death? Are you making sure that your kids, your family members, your friends, people around you, are you concerned about them enough? And, for me a long time, that answer was no. I was more concerned on things that was on TV, the internet, social media, things like that. And didn't really have a whole, and even if I were just to be honest with you, for mine, some of it was where I was working at the time. You're just getting so consumed in either a career or a job or trying to prepare for down the road. Well, when realistically I should have been prepared for way down the road for getting prepared for basically for eternity. And that scared me, and that kind of got me moving in some directions and kind of got some things. But that's a whole different story for another day. But are we letting ourselves get distracted by these things of this world? You know, thank God that He has not been one and done with us. And I think that we need to get to a point to where when we're realizing that one and done, and I'm not just talking about your sports team, I'm talking about like a personal relationship with people. Somebody makes a comment or somebody does something that hurts and offends you. You know, do you just completely cut that person out of your life and you avoid them? You don't want anything to do with them, and they're basically dead to you. Well, that's a terrible attitude for us to have. You know, Jesus tells us to forgive many, many, many times. And also, people that are just blatantly rude and mean to you, Jesus tells us to love your enemies as yourself. Give to them. Help them. Make sure that their needs are filled before your own. And that's really hard for us to do because we want to just keep withdrawing into ourselves and just make everything about us. And I don't know about you, but that's not a life that I'm happy with. That's not a life that I'm satisfied with. You know, I'm wanting my life to be more geared towards serving God passionately, being excited about it, and being so grateful that I want to do more for Him because He did everything for me. All right, guys. That being said, I think that's a good point for us to stop and for us to close. I really appreciate everybody watching. If you tuned in live or if you're going back and you're watching this on a recording, thank you. I really appreciate it. We have got, I think this Sunday, Brother Danny is going to be finishing up, I think it's a part 2 to his message on trusting God that he gave this Sunday. And again, I just want to apologize for the technical difficulties that we had with that. I checked before we went live today. We have got that back on our YouTube page, so you can check it out there or check it out on our website, liveoakbaptist.church. Again, guys, at the moment, we are still just meeting for Sunday service at 11 o'clock. So if you want to come and be a part of our service in person, we welcome you to do that. We have our chairs and seating spaced out. We have masks available, and ask that if you have one, please wear that. So we're taking all the steps and everything to make sure that everybody stays safe, and as comfortable as we can be during this. I know it's kind of awkward to sit there and wear your protection and things like that. But we're taking every step that we can for that. And again, if you're still a little weary about that, we do have our online. Hopefully, Lord willing, this coming up Sunday, we won't have any issues, and we'll be able to get you a good stream there. Again, I am Dylan, youth pastor, assistant pastor, not sure exactly what I am here. I really don't know. I need to find out. Thank you, guys. If you like this on our YouTube end, please like and share. And the same on our Facebook end. If you're watching this on Facebook, please be sure to share it. Doing that helps our videos a lot. That helps us get good feedback from the platforms that we use to record and to get things out there to you guys. I don't have any other announcements except for please just continue to pray for Pastor Rick and our staff and everybody here that helps to make sure that we have a good church service. We really need your encouragement and everything behind the scenes. I'll just be honest with you. I forgot how much went into preparing and setting up and doing a live video. Because it has been a while, and it does take some setup and things like that. So a lot of work goes into doing these things, but we're happy to do them so that you guys can receive the word. That being said, guys, thank you very much. We love you, and look forward to seeing you this Sunday at 11. Thank you.